here's something, getting on this, here's a prediction that they made recently. Dr. Anthony Fauci thinks concerts could return this fall. Now, of course, that's assuming everything goes right with vaccines. This is an interview that he gave at the Association of Performing Arts Professionals a month or two ago. He seems to think Americans might be able to return to concerts this year. Now, of course, that hinges on 70 to 85% of the American population being vaccinated. Do you share that optimism? Do you think we're going to see live performances this year? I mean, I know we're all just guessing, but what do you think?
Well, I mean, that's how I make my living. So I would love for him to be right. He did say they could be back this fall. And he also said if a certain number of people, what did you say, 80% get the vaccine?
70 to 85 is the goal, yeah.
Okay, but the last poll that I saw was probably 3 weeks ago, a month ago, and it said 45% were not going to get the vaccine. So maybe New York is an area where more people would get the vaccine, but you know, that doesn't seem from that poll number, if that was one poll that said 45% won't get it, that's almost half. So how do you go from that a month ago? I mean, are they going to be watching to see that the healthcare workers and the seniors who get it don't die or don't have wild side effects? I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I saw a star, a friend of mine who's in show business, and I don't want to shame her, but she posted on her Facebook page, y'all get vaccinated or whatever. And then the first comment was her saying, I'm not going to be the first one to get it. I'm going to wait and see what happens with everybody else. And I thought, wow. So on the post is, get it, get the vaccine, get vaccinated. And then the first comment was kind of like, ooh, well, I'm not going to do it first. And we can't deny that, Black people, she's Black, have been used as guinea pigs in experiments, like the Tuskegee experiment, where they injected Black men in jail with syphilis from the 30s to the 70s. There was another pregnancy thing, that happened in Puerto Rico where they were experimented with. And, there's something in North Carolina like that. So if you do things like that, government, then when it's time for people to, get a vaccine, they're going to have real reasons to distrust it. I mean, and so listen, I don't follow anti-vaxxers and what their concerns are. I mean, when the whole thing started making headlines with Jenny McCarthy, I don't have children who I'm worried about having autism, and I also don't have children who I want everyone at their school to be vaccinated. So I don't know what their concerns are exactly. If the vaccine is a way to get rid of coronavirus, then that's great. But I did watch the Jimmy Dore show last night, and he said that it quoted a New York Times article, read screenshots of it, that said something about they were now going to possibly delay the second dose or what it was. And I hope I'm getting this right, but, and this is really bizarre, Trump was reserving millions of doses so that people could have their second dose in 21 or 29 days later. Both vaccines have different, one's 21, one's 29 days later. And so now the new policy of the Biden administration, it is, or the incoming Biden administration, is to give as many out as possible without worrying about a second dose. And that, I mean, if this New York Times thing Jimmy was quoting is correct, if all the science says that you're supposed to do it within 21 or 29 days, depending on which vaccine, and now you're just giving them all out and waiting till what, 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, is that going to work?
Yeah,
all I know is that it sounds like whatever happens, the pharmaceutical industry is going to get paid.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing, and the fact that just the distribution in general has been largely not great. I mean, it has not gone well at all, and the other side of it too is like you can't just sit on these things because there's been other instances where these vaccines just gone bad, and then it's just wasted. So it's
well, you also have to be very, very, very clear about telling people the truth always, and not having things come out like this in the New York Times that gives people who are conspiracy theorists or anti-vaxxers like, oh, they're changing their tune. This we wonder how all these people can think that Trump won the election that showed up at the Capitol. This is how. That you confuse the issue, and then that gives them a license to go into a rabbit hole and believe whatever they want to believe. So
yeah,
you got to be careful about that.
It's tough, and it's one of those. We are in a very odd time where I don't even think we're a 1 day at a time society right now. I think we're a 1 hour at a time society, because there's just so many still unknowns out there. And, I'm with you where it's like, I cannot wait to get back to live performing as soon as it is safe and possible to do so. And man, I really hope that's fall. But I mean, I think that is, everything has to go right.
Yes, and let's file that fall reopening in the back of our heads, and just think we're screwed, but we're screwed for quite a while, and then if we're disappointed, if we're unscrewed, then goody tissues, so.
What's the first thing you want to do when live performance comes back? Is it are you most excited to get back on stage? Are you most excited to see live music again? I mean, I can't wait to see live music.
No, honey,
again.
Sex with strangers. That is what I want more than anything. Sex with total strangers.
See, I'm married. That's not on my list. I'm married, so I can't, But live music and being on stage. Where do you think your first gig's going to be when this is all over?
Well, that disco tea dance at the Monster, which is hanging on, thankfully by a thread, is 4 blocks from here. So those are my people. I love to go spin that music. There's joy associated with that music. And, it because it's disco, it attracts an older crowd of people who were, there's plenty of younger people who come there too, but people who were out when that music was still in clubs. I mean, this is a long running, disco New York City event. So, but when I first got back from a tour in March, and February, and they were getting ready to close down in March, I took my last week off because I was like, I've been traveling all over the place. I don't want to come back here and kill my fan base. If I've been exposed to the coronavirus at that point, we knew absolutely nothing about it, whether or not people are, and plus that's like I said, it's an older crowd. So, I mean, listen, it's the thing that I think is going to be tough is that you pay to go into a club because it's a permissive environment where you're more likely to make out with a stranger, gyrate against a speaker while you disrobe. Do we need to have iron-fisted, regulations, and how long will we need to have them? Because I mean, I don't want to be a party pooper. Everywhere I work serves alcohol, and there may be drugs there too, but can we afford to go out and get crazy like that? I mean, are we still going to be sipping through our mask? I mean, how many times have I picked up someone else's drink, sipped it, and thought, that's not mine? Does that mean throwing, 12 15 months of washing my hands until they're raw down the toilet? I don't know. I mean, no one knows. I mean, the question is, everything's a question mark, and I don't want to be a naysayer. So no, I read the thing about reopening in the fall, and I hope. I mean, I was trying to think, how would Broadway shows, what would they have to charge with all of those people on stage? Because if they have to socially distance the audience, and even after the vaccine, they've got to wear masks. I mean, if they're having a third of the audience, they have to really pack them in Broadway or movie theaters for that matter. But Broadway tickets are already $300 to $400. So how are you going to, I mean, are they going to be booking a lot of one-man shows, one-woman shows where they don't have to pay as much? I have absolutely no idea. I mean, I would like to think that people like you and I, who are eager to get back on stage, that we would, I mean, we will work as I did after 9/11 with, club owners when people were in shell shock. They were, out of, work for so long and needed cheering up and needed to feel like they were part, of a community. I mean, I did see your New Year's Eve greeting. And, one thing that was very touching is that you said that your podcast helps you from feeling alone. Well, I totally heard that because I live alone. At least you got a wife. I'm not saying that I want a wife, but, it's like there is a lot of loneliness, isolation. This is a really tough time for people mentally and economically. So yeah, I think we are sitting on a powder keg. And it's not just Trump supporters who are, incorrectly thinking that Trump has won the election. It's people who, by virtue of their situations, and I don't watch TV news, but I hope that I stopped watching the TV news when, every night Rachel Maddow had a bombshell. I used to love Rachel on Air America when she was, more progressive, but all those bombshells didn't really add up to much. And I thought all that time you could be running segments on how Canada's healthcare system worked to kind of destigmatize. If you actually cared about Medicare for all, you could, be comparing it to, it's not just Venezuela and Scandinavia. It's right upstairs, the exotic, terrifying Canada, but they didn't want to do those segments. And this is why I was so behind Force the Vote, because it wasn't the left just being reactionaries to the right and to Trump. It was saying, this is what we need. This is why we elected you. Now we've got thin but majorities in the House and the Senate and a Democratic president. Let's see what you can do. I mean, Biden did say he would veto Medicare for all, so that's not overly encouraging, but I would like to see more people making demands in addition to Force the Vote. So, I mean, demand nothing, you get nothing. I mean, we're not lobbyists with money to sugarcoat our demands. Our demands want them to do the opposite of what their campaign donors want. But as it is disgraceful to see what happened at the Capitol, it is disgraceful that we're the only advanced country without something like Medicare for all. I mean, this is not one of the worst examples of this, but I had to have surgery in August. It wasn't overly serious, but I had to do it, and it wasn't life-threatening. And so it didn't work right. There were complications, and so the doctor monitored it, and then I went in and got an ultrasound, and he said, "This is screwed up, and we're going to have to operate again." So I had to run around, like crazy. I mean, this was a painful thing to heal up from. It took months. And now I had to like quickly know, like right before the holidays, you have to get another surgery on the same painful area. And the reason I had to do it quickly, and I was so lucky to get a second opinion quickly for this like specialty thing, the surgery was $900. If I got it this year in December, it would have been $4,500 because of if I got it January 1st. So
well, why?
Because of the out of pocket. I'd already paid my out of pocket stuff with the first surgery. So this is not even something like insulin. This is hopefully done with now. And, I don't want to compare, the people who are struggling to pay, for insulin with that. But it's like when you tell people to this in other countries, they cannot believe it. A surgery would multiply by, I know you're thinking, clearly it wasn't plastic surgery. No, but it was, I mean, that was really awful. I mean, I had just healed up from this surgery. I haven't had a lot of surgeries. And, I literally had to like run outside and meet some friends and get some sunlight into my eyes and get some exercise before I put myself in that situation again to where I wouldn't be able to lift anything for 2 weeks or risk having the sutures. And, like I said, this is playing on everyone's mental health. Mine may not have ever been that stable to begin with. So, I mean, these are the kind of choices that we have to make. And this is the kind of healthcare that we get. I spend 1/2 of my rent on healthcare. So saving money is very difficult because I was in and out of town so much. I chose a more expensive plan on Health First because I did not have time traveling like I was to go in if there's something wrong with me, make a tough to get appointment with my primary care physician, who then green lights me seeing a specialist, which this surgeon was. So, like I say, thank God I was able to get a second opinion within a couple of days, or I would have paid the $4,500 instead of the $900. So,
and and you mentioned this, and it's so. Are you doing better now, or is everything?
I'm fine. It seems to be healing up, and like I say, it was never anything life-threatening, or but it needed to be taken care of. But because I'd also had an endoscopy, and I don't even know if I said that right, and this other surgery that was supposed to heal up right and did not, and had to go in and correct it. I'd eaten up that 2020's out of pocket or annual. My mother's a nurse. Thank God she helps me through this. So.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, when you bring this up to people in other countries, they don't even know what to say. They're just like, what? Is that like people say like, oh man, they're laughing at us. It's like, no, they're not. It's worse than that. They're not laughing at us. They're just, at this point, they're just looking at us with like concern and terror in their eyes. They're like, what are you guys doing?
Well, exactly. And so, they're looking at us concerned because of the Capitol, and they're looking at us concerned, along with, the insurance situation. And I tried, it didn't work out, but I tried to make a video when I was touring in February in Scotland, and I interviewed a couple of people, a drag queen friend, and she said that okay, get this, because her tax dollars go to things like the National Health Service, which is their healthcare system in the UK, she doesn't hate paying her taxes. I mean, if you feel that the government is actually taking care of you, maybe we wouldn't see tax. I mean, no one wants to give away money, but if it's money that, is going to your health care, making it affordable, if it is money going to a social safety net, if it's money going to Social Security, I'm 58. Joe Biden has tried to cut Social Security for decades. And, although people do not know it because they're so busy saying that he's my favorite president. I mean, I voted for him twice too, but Obama did try to cut Social Security with those chain CPI cuts as part of that grand bargain. And if I'm not mistaken, that was one reason that Bernie decided to run, because for those who, Democrats don't cut Social Security. So we've got to be careful. I know that viewers of your show are going to be aware of this, that we don't run so far from Trump or Mitch McConnell like boogeymen on the right that we run into the arms of someone who has not had the interest of most working Americans at heart for decades.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean,
I think
who doesn't like Social Security? And as with the Iraq War and his support for it, Biden lied during his campaign about that. He lied about Social Security, and Bernie did not take him to task for it as he should. Bernie, Bernie, always accused of yelling, I think should have said, Joe Biden wants to cut your security. Here's the Social Security. Here is the video proof of it. And when CNN, they let the Biden campaign get away with claiming that, those tapes were doctored. Well, I mean, they were edited, to show the part where he said, Social Security's on the table, proudly, so this is, we can't run so far away from, yes, I'm glad that Trump, lost and that we got away from him, but we've got to be choosier on the left if we value things like Social Security that everyone, wants, everyone likes. And I don't know how that doesn't concern people, because most people are, not most people I know, but a lot of people I know are around my age and either relying on Social Security now or about to. And I'm like, you can't be so blinded to Trump that you run to someone who wants to cut the social safety net. But oops, it's too late.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. And I think that, you bring up other countries where it's like, if you were to have a conversation with someone from like Denmark or something like that, and you were saying, yeah, paying our taxes, we're going to get, they wouldn't even understand. You're like, I mean, they might understand because they know what the United States is like, but they wouldn't, to them, that's just unheard of like, oh yeah, my taxes, I'm getting ripped off. Because to them, like, well, our government, they provide these services for us. They give us healthcare. They give us all these things. And half of our friends and family work in these social services. And that's what we pay taxes for. And we see what we get for it. Where here in the United States, well, we're just a corporate coup empire. So
well, and half of that money is going to be for wars that end up being baseless. So, this is something that I've loved hearing progressives say of late. This is our money. We should not have to beg you for our money. If these are voters' priorities, and 88% or 70% of what voters say that they want Medicare for all, then you need to represent us, or you may not be Trump, but you're not representing the vast majority. So how is that representative government? We should not have to beg you for our priorities, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and